we go, should be live now. So I don't think anyone is with us yet, but welcome to Love Speaks Love. I am Denise, your host, and my lovely guest, my repeat guest, been on once or twice before, is David Maria. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And it's been more than two. So thank you, Denise. It's as always, it's a pleasure to be here.
Now, just bear with me a second. I'm just going to, yeah, there we are. Okay, so I need to just share this along. I'll turn it down. Okay. So how's life over there?
Life over here is actually quite wonderful. It's a delight to have been on this side of long COVID. I recently got a clean bill that there's no more COVID detectable in my blood, even as an energetic overlay in my system, which is really, really, really nice.
Did you feel it go?
I knew it was a process. It took almost 3 months worth of treatments. If you could see my kitchen counter with all of the supplements that were being recommended to be able to take, and I was also seeing a naturopath, was also having ozone treatments to clean up the blood and get the last little viral pieces out, all of which were fabulous to be able to do. But it took a while. You know, I did a lot of acupuncture and everything else. It took close to 3 months to get to that stage. And a lot of that, I was weak beyond belief and sleeping incredible amounts.
But then you didn't really sleep so well on the hard hospital bed, did you?
No. The hospital bed in Kenya was like a medieval torture device. And that's partially because you know what pull-out couches and beds are like, with those metal bars that are underneath it, and they're just torture on your back, and it was too short. So, right, very few Kenyans are as tall as I am.
Yeah, and it was an interesting experience to be on the outside of as well, to kind of have an awareness that this was going on, and there was such a lot of support for you, and there was like it just felt like you were circled and kind of, you know, sorry, there's a it's gone. Were you aware of that?
Absolutely. And it wasn't like I was circled. I know that I was circled. It was this immense level of support. Some people holding me here, because as you know, I died 9 times while I was in that process. But I was, from my perspective, I was never leaving. I'd already made the agreement that I'm staying. If I wanted to leave, I could have left a year ago easily. But that's not why I came here. That's not why you came here. We came here to do the work that we're doing. We came here to finish with the embodiment process internally inside each one of us, and to be of assistance to anybody else in the process if that's what's called for. So I was never leaving, but oh my goodness, the amount of love that was coming, the amount of just people holding space, holding onto my feet. No, I'm sorry, you're not flying off. And I'm actually, even though I was kind of like really out of it for a while, because I had a really high fever, like 105, 107 for almost 3 days. Ironically, that fever burned off a lot of weight. I lost close to 35, 40 pounds, and all of it was muscle. So it left me with all my fat, took all of my strength, And I was incredibly weak for a long time. Walking was interesting. And I couldn't stand. So I sat most of the time.
Now, I will ask you.
And let me just comment that it was perfect to get COVID. It was perfect, because I didn't have one of those little tiny, it's like a minor cold versions of it. I had a really intense version of it that went through everything. It was perfect in relation to what had happened in Kenya and why I was there, and what the initiation itself was like, in that it brought up anything, I don't care what it was, still remaining in the physical body that needed to be cleansed and purified. So no complaints at all. It was perfect and necessary. Obviously, it was necessary, because if it could have been different, it would have been different.
Yeah.
More than anything, in terms of talking about support, more than anything that I took away was, with the immense level of support that was there, was just how loved I really am. And there are times that I haven't been aware of that.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so for those that don't know, normally we start Love Speaks Love with just a little heart-to-heart connect. So we'll do that, and I'll pass over to you as well, David, when I'm done, and see what you'd like to put in the pot with that as well.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're in a position to do so, I invite us all to breathe into our hearts, close our eyes if we're in a position to, and if we feel to. And let us all breathe love into our beautiful, beautiful hearts, into every cell of our bodies. Breathing love all the way down to the tips of our toes, all the way up to the top of our heads, tips of our fingers, into all of the waters of our bodies, into every joint, into each and every cell, all the way to the subatomic particles and beyond. And breathing love into our auric field, into all of our energy centers, and beyond our physical bodies, our energy, into the rooms where we are, into the buildings where we are, and beyond, into the streets, into the towns, the whole countries, and the whole globe. And feeling all of our hearts connecting and beating as one, in the one unified field of love. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of Gaia. Feeling ourselves fully held within Gaia's crystalline heart. And feeling Gaia's love for all of us. Feeling Gaia's recognition of all of us and her gratitude, her appreciation for all that we are and all that we do. For all of her children upon this planet. And extending our heart awareness out to the heart of the sun, feeling that connection with the solar logos, with the solar codes of light. and extending our heart awareness out to Source Creator. Feeling the energy from Source within every cell of our bodies. And I'm feeling the presence of the elemental realm, the Fae in all of its splendor, and feeling the presence of the beings of inner earth, and also the presence of our star families, and all of our multidimensional aspects. And handing over to you at this point, David. Thank you.
Now that everybody is fully centered and connected, take it just a little bit farther. Come back into your heart. Once you're in your heart, then feel that one single channel that goes directly from your heart up through your crown into your I am presence. Once you connect to that, then just allow the breath of the I am presence itself to flow down into your heart. And once it's in your heart, just let it be carried to all of your body, all of your cells. Especially take it down to your feet and anchor it into the earth so that it is available to all of life. Excuse me. You know, it's really easy to stay there a long time, isn't it?
It's so hard to open the eyes at the end of that. You definitely have a different glow. I looked at the computer screen. You seem more translucent in a way, but in a good way, as in more light.
That's what we're all doing. We're incarnating fully our light bodies. So I know the term ascension is well known with everybody. There's nothing wrong with that term because that is part of what we're doing. But we're also, at the same time, we're also embodying. So at the same time that as we raise the frequency of the vibration of our physical body, as we begin the process at whatever stage we're at of converting it to light, to crystalline, then our light body descends into the physical body and we incarnate it. And then we become fully embodied as the master that all of us really are, because we already are masters. There's nobody that's not, just question of remembering it. And maybe we have a little work to take out some of the garbage and do a little bit of house cleaning.
So obviously it's been a long recovery for you. How different do you feel internally?
Internally, it's really interesting because I experience myself just like you do. I experience myself as myself. I know that I'm different, that there are subtleties in terms of the energetic fields that it's easier for me to feel and experience. It's more of a rarefied frequency that I'm connected to now, or able to connect to now. But I still just feel like me. I'm just David. There's really and truly, there's nothing different about me than you or anybody else. One of my favorite expressions is, I'm just folks. There isn't, I know that I'm different than some people, but there's nothing special about me, in the same way there's nothing special about anybody. I can't remember his name, but there was a Sufi teacher that was very famous for a while, and then he stopped teaching. And somebody asked him why, because he had self-realized, and everybody that he saw was God. And he said, who would I teach? Was his response. I thought that was a lovely answer. And yes, I still do offer classes.
So you went to, you were close to Mount Kenya. That was where the initiation took place.
Mm-hmm.
What can you share of the actual initiation itself?
No one's ever asked me that question, and there's not much that I can say about it, except that it was definitely transformational. So it's really interesting, because originally, and most people know this, I was called back in 2018 to go to Africa. That's no longer my perspective, or that's no longer the only perspective. So yeah, they did send out a call, and a call when I received it. But I was also, at the same time, I was sent to Africa. Africa, as the rest of the world, is totally patriarchal, and that energy is unsustainable. It just the things that happen as a consequence of the level of imbalance with it being male-centric or masculine-centric is just totally unsustainable. So yes, I went to Africa, and I was initiated into the system, the energetic system that is there. But the corresponding side of it is that I was initiated into that system. I brought my energy, which is more balanced, masculine and feminine, and honors the feminine, because that I know that's my core. It always has been. The name that I have, my last name Maria, I took that name because Mother Mary came to me and asked me to take it as her gift, and so I've always had that connection. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Have I worked through any aspect of me that is a distorted masculine and done all of that homework? Not to date. I'm still cooking, but I'm extremely receptive to whatever the changes are that needed to happen. I look forward to them. So what the effect of that is upon their society and upon the entire continent of Africa, I can't speak to how that will work. Sometimes the biggest things that happen come in the smallest little tiny packages, and they make a little tiny shift, and like dominoes, it starts to move out. And trust me, I'm not saying I'm the only person in the world doing work like this and around bringing, because we both know there are millions of people doing very intense, very deep work along these lines to bring about the shift into the new energies completely. I'm just one of those people. You're one of those people. Everybody watching this is one of those people. They wouldn't be watching if they're not. We all have different levels that we work at. So
So traditionally, these initiations have gone on for thousands of years, would you say?
Much longer than that.
Yeah.
Much longer than that. It goes back to pre-Atlantean times. So traditionally, women are not allowed to attend these initiations. They're not allowed to hear the words of power that are given. But in 2018, I not only had a dream about one of the next generation of seers being a woman, I actually met her as a young child in one of the game parks in Nairobi. Incredible young woman, incredible young woman. And I was told that women are not allowed to hear the words of power that are spoken. And I immediately interjected, well, how's that going to work then? Because they're aware of this girl. They know she's coming. They've seen it. And I said, if they're not allowed to hear the words of power, how will she be initiated? And the real answer is that she won't need to be initiated. She will initiate herself. The recovery of a balance and the grandmothers coming back into their rightful place within councils, the Council of Elders. It's so huge what that will accomplish, and it doesn't matter if you're in a culture that actually has recognized elders or not. You know if you're an elder, you know if the consciousness that you carry and the level of embodiment that you have allows you to be an elder, then you're self-ordained. You don't need anybody's permission to be able to do that. It doesn't have to be recognized. My journey was my journey, and it needed to go the way that it did.
And traditionally, there was a 3-day herbs were given for like a 3-day induced sleep.
Traditionally, you had to go into the forest by yourself for 40 and fast for 40 days. If you went 39 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes and had something to eat, you had to start over. But then you would be given, once the initiation started, you would be given a succession of herbs. One would put your physical body into a coma, and then the next one would transform your consciousness. And then depending upon how that went, the last one would revive the body. I did 37 days worth equivalent energetically to fasting in the work between 2018 and 2022. So I didn't have to do a 40-day fast. But I did experience, even though I didn't receive the herbs, I did receive all of the states of consciousness. The body went into a coma. They did all of the testing to see how much your consciousness is transforming. And I actually went into a coma several times during the initiation. I came in and out a little bit. So it was fascinating and wonderful and fabulous to be a part of it.
And when you were in a coma, when you were unconscious or seemingly unconscious from the outside, were you conscious of what was going on?
Yeah, your body just can't move. So one of the ways they test you or check you to see how much you're transforming is that while you're laying down, they'll lift up your arm like this and then let it go. And if your arm comes down like this, you're still in control. And you're not changing very much. And if your arm just flops, which mine did, then there's something major that's happening. And it was quite interesting when we first came into the forest, because this is in primeval forest of Mount Kenya. There's no people in this forest. You have to go in with armed rangers as an escort, because they don't want anybody to be killed by a wild animal or by an animal that's naturally. But as we walked in, the monkeys started screaming, the baboons started going crazy, the buffalo started howling, and I mean, really, really loud. Whole flocks of birds took off all at once, like the way that they explode from trees, and birds of all varieties started screeching and screaming. So it was pretty intense, and you could feel the earth just vibrating underneath you, or I could feel the earth vibrating underneath me.
And you had a friend with you as well, didn't you? The wife, or the wife of a friend.
Yeah,
Was
yeah. There was someone traveling with me. Yeah, she was the first woman that has ever not only been invited, but almost mandatorily said, "You have to come to this initiation." So she was extremely and is extremely connected to the earth, and especially to Africa. It's not my place to speak for her, but let's just say that from my perspective, she had profound experiences of reconnecting with the earth itself, to such a degree that you become the earth. There is no separation.
And she was an important link in the beginning as well between you and the world outside of Africa, from our perspective. In terms of having somebody kind of present with you who could, email, let us know how you were doing, that kind of.
Once I got sick and was in the hospital, I was completely incapacitated and out of it. And I do mean out of it. There was nothing that I was capable of doing. I was non-functional. If I have a few pictures of myself, I haven't shared them. But if I look at them, I'm really sick. I mean, I was really sick. It was as close as you could get and not actually physically die. I was on oxygen for almost 16 days. That's the only way that they could keep me going. So she handled everything. Yeah, I have to give her immense credit. She communicated with everybody and did her best to attempt to change the return plane flights, which didn't work because I happened to be in the hospital in the emergency room dying at the time frame that they were attempting to do that. And they wouldn't do it because they had to speak to me. It didn't matter. They said, he's in the emergency room. He can't come to the phone. Yeah, I'm beyond grateful for everything that she did. It was phenomenal. I mean, at one level, it was just thrust upon her. I mean, what choice do you have? So,
I was just going to say, when you say hospital and emergency room, people might have an image in their head of what that might be like, but it wasn't really anything like what people would imagine.
I went to 2 hospitals. Initially, I was really dehydrated, and I went there to get an IV drip with some electrolytes, and they did a PCR test. And this was the government hospital, which is where most people go. And it's, let's just say that the people are wonderful, but the care is less than what I would consider to be appropriate for me. And then later on, I was there for 3 days, and it was very reasonably priced, but it wasn't that effective in terms of the treatment. The next bout was 16 days in a private hospital, which is up to the level of care that we expect in Western civilization. It was also extremely expensive, just like the level of care in Western medicine. But who cares about the money? It's not a big deal. I'd rather have spent all the money and then some and still be here.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first came in, I had a raging fever of between 105 and 107. As soon as I came into into the hospital. I died several times. So. But remember, from my perspective, I wasn't dying. I just went out traveling. And even though the body was going through a lot of changes, I was not in danger of dying. It looked like that from the outside, but not from the inside.
So the nurse and me trying to get a picture of this. Did your heart stop in that time? Because to me, there's like many stages of dying. We can leave our body. Yeah, and you might not even know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that.
But you knew you were gone.
Oh, I was definitely gone. I was traveling.
Mm.
I had just experienced this phenomenal release of final veils to being able to experience the entire multiverse all at once. And I was like a kid in a candy store. Oh, I can go here. Oh, I can go there. Oh, I can go over here. So it was, yeah, I was just traveling, and I was enjoying every minute of it. And I'm absolutely positive that it was not enjoyable for all of those around me, and those that were taking care of me, and those that were helping. It was phenomenal. But I was enjoying myself.
And since you came back, and since you've kind of landed, are you able to put into words how you feel different, or how you are, how it is now to be David that's different from before?
There is much less of what anybody would consider to be David. And yet at the same time, there is more integration. David is more integrated fully with who I am as a high self, as an I am presence. There's way less separation. I'm definitely more integrated, more centered, more still. Even in the midst of activity, there's a stillness that's omnipresent, as there is right now conversationally. The conversation is coming from that still point. Mm-hmm. Everything floats through that. Like I said earlier, I just experience myself as myself. It doesn't seem unusual to just be who I am. And sometimes I don't discover who I am unless I'm interacting with somebody and they provide some feedback. You know what it's like just to sit and be still and not have thoughts? Just to sit and be still. There is no thinking. There's presence. You're present. You're fully in the moment. But you're not thinking. The chattery mind, the monkey mind is just it comes to a still point and is quiet. That's really lovely.
Yeah, beautiful. And does everything look different? Like you're in the same house, it all looks the same behind you there, you know, your amethyst and Kuan Yin. Does it feel like you're looking through new eyes?
You have read some of the multidimensional experiences that I've had recently. You know, when I go outside and look at the sun, or go out in the night and look at the moon, the colors are different. The light is different. It's more vibrant, and everybody experiences that as you raise the frequency of your vibration. Everything around you raises also, because you're perceiving it through the level of vibration that you're working with, or the level of frequency that you're vibrating with. So yeah, everything is different. It's way vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
And physically, I'm still weak. I'm still recovering the strength that I had. I used to walk 5 or 6 miles every day. Now, a mile is a stretch.
But it's like everything's being rebuilt.
It is everything. Once this energy started to come in, because all of the barriers to it had finally been released. Every cell in the body has to change. It has to upgrade to that new frequency. And it's a journey. It's a process, and it probably will continue to be a journey. And personally, I don't know if it ever ends.
Now, you mentioned when we were chatting earlier, you mentioned a dream. Did you say that was last night, the dream?
No, that was a couple of days ago. In this dream, I'll tell it synoptically, but in this dream, I was in a small town, and there was hardly any activity going on. There was no cars driving. If you walk through the streets at night, maybe 1 in 50 to 100 houses had a light on. And in the daytime, as I was walking around, I would see people, and they would just all of a sudden go poof, and they were gone. And I would see others, and they would gradually begin this process where they just converted to light, and then they poofed and were no longer here. But then there were other people, and these are the ones that I was more focused on. And we know that people are leaving the earth on an ongoing basis. It's constant. It's part of what it is to be here. We'll be here for a while and we'll leave. Nobody's dying. We're just no longer residing here in terms of our localized, focused consciousness. So, but there were other beings that were doing this, and they were fully converting to themselves to light. They were fully incarnating their light body, but then they weren't leaving. They were staying in order to be able to, if nothing else, model that for others. And that's part of the embodiment process, is that we do incarnate and embody fully our light body here in physicality, in this density. That's part of the transformation of the density of 3D that is going on, is to the influx of energy coming into it to raise its vibration. It's fabulous.
Mm. Yeah, what an amazing dream.
It was much bigger than what I just shared, but that's the essence of it. It was very energetically lucid. You know that I'm a dreamer. I've dreamed most of my life. Most of my life I've dreamed into existence. So.
And you're not the only one. I have to just get that.
I understand that. I understand that. That's
no,
how.
I'm just getting in the. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I'm just getting getting the lyrics in there. So what would you say, and I know you've already spoken of this, but what would you say the outcome of this journey has been for you? Is there more you want to share on that?
It's just a deeper awareness of realization, a deeper understanding and remembrance of who we are. And I say who we are because there is only the self. There is only the one. There's only source. There's only God. Everything else is a dream manifestation that flows from that. And I would say flows in and out, like an in-breath and an out-breath. And we're still in an out-breath. If you look at our universe, it's still expanding like crazy. And this is just one of many universes within the multiverse. So there is just the deeper understanding of that presence. And it's not understanding with the mind, because the mind cannot, it cannot comprehend what is possible. It can't experience it. All it can do is surrender itself and allow that presence to come in. If you're trying to figure it out, you're gonna be fairly frustrated, because it just will not work. The brain is incapable of comprehending how vast we really are. Everything is much more peaceful, or a lot more peaceful. Sorry, I like a lot of people in the world have picked up using the much more connotation, which is like a double negative or a double positive, whatever it is. So there's a lot more peace. There's that deep, 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 deep peace that biblically is referred to as the peace that passeth understanding, because it's so still and so calm and so incredibly filled with love. It's phenomenal to be in that presence and to be that presence.
Nice, thank you. So Sarah Keenan has asked a question about the Eden template. And she's just asking, has the Eden template or your offerings transformed as well?
Everything has changed. What's her name?
Sarah Keenan.
Sarah Keenan. Everything has changed. It is expanded. It's much more, there is more inclusion and connection with the earth, with the elements and the elemental realms, with the fairies and sprites and gnomes and spirits of the air. There's a deeper connection and grounding as another aspect of embodying. And all of that is still in transition in terms of what was coming forth. I've had inklings of it. So understand that I don't sit down and design these teachings or these classes. They come as a transmission, and then they open up, they unpack, and then I share them as they come. So I know there's more coming. Sometimes the only way to know what that is to actually do it, is to share a class. So as you know, I have an 11-week course, Freedom from the Known, that you've attended a couple of times. There's another one starting on June 25th. And I have the sense of how it's changing, how it's more inclusion of, because it is, the course is designed to go through and change your neurology, to change your unconscious, your subconscious thinking patterns, to rewire, reframe, reimagine them, create more space for your soul to be able to come in. And now the new work is to take that and ground it even deeper into the physical body, into the cells in the body, and into the earth herself, into Gaia, and work on raising the frequency of everything through your connection with it. Because everything is connected. There is absolutely nothing that is not interconnected with everything. I don't know who it was. There was a First Nation person that said, in response to the invasion, if you will, of Western culture into America, said, white people think everything out here is dead, but it's not. It's alive. Everything is alive. It's the difference between living on the earth and living with the earth, living in harmony with the earth. And when you're in harmony, in order to be in harmony, what comes with that is that you intimately are connected to everything, much in the same way that if you're in a forest, every tree in the forest is connected to every other tree. They're not just isolated trees. All of the plants on the forest floor are not isolated. They're connected to everything is connected. The energy flow flows through everything. And that's part of the first class that I offer in terms of the Eden template itself, and reconnecting to that source is feeling and understanding that level of connectivity that already exists. So it's always there. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And it's Serena Keenan. She's been in touch with you. So I want to ask you about the Fae realm. And I would like to ask you if you feel a greater connection to that now, if your vision of if what you can see in that realm is different now.
We've all heard about grounding, earthing, and walking on the earth barefoot.
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, go down into your feet, and you will discover that the bottoms of your feet have eyes in them, and you can open them just with your intention. And when they open, then you are able to see the inner realm of the Fae, which includes all of the earth elements, the water elementals, the air elementals, the fire elementals. They're all there, and they are very busy doing what they do. And a lot of what they do is just plain play and fun. Personally, I think they like to mess with me a lot. Things will disappear that I know exactly where I set it down. It might be 10 hours later before I find it. And whatever it was, and it was important to find in that moment, but it's not happening. They're just having a good time. So they are almost quintessentially the very essence of joy to interact with. They're so fun. They are so fun. And when you're walking on the earth, especially if it's best to be barefoot, but if you can't, shoes are okay. Doesn't matter. You're interacting with them. You're hanging with them, if you will. They're our friends. They're our buddies. They're here to work with, and they love to play with us, and they love to work with us. So I've been asked to, and it hasn't come through yet, but I know that there will be some new teachings on working with the elementals. For instance, working with the gnomes, or with the water sprites, or the air sprites, or the fire beings. We'll see what they bring through. I was taught in the 80s and 90s about them, and I've been told very clearly, you can't use any of that information. Whatever's coming through, it has to be brand new and of this moment. So I'm still waiting.
That's really interesting. And we were talking before we started, and I'm kind of getting the same message, really, that it's time to share about the Fae. It's time to share about our connection with them, with the plant kingdom, with Gaia herself. And I just imagine how many more people are getting that same message. And I've been mainly sleeping in a tent in the garden again since I came back from Glastonbury. So I've been fully immersed, 24 hours a day, pretty much, apart from when I come in to cook. And I feel, even though I haven't been aware of it, there's been a lot that's been going on. I just got an image I don't even know if I can quite put this into words, but it feels like there's a greater connection between me and the earth, and it's not just through my feet. It's like my energy has been weaved more strongly into that realm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It does. So we all know how much can happen, say, when countries or governments cooperate and share with each other, as opposed to they don't and they're antagonistic or aggressive towards each other. Well, it's the same way with the elemental kingdom and all of the realms. The more receptive, just imagine what could happen with the earth if people started acknowledging and honoring it, the sacredness of it, and the sacredness of all of her beings, and working consciously with the elementals, the degree of transformation that is possible. And we know it's coming. We know it's coming. And actually, the reality is that it's already here. It's just in degrees of manifestation. So, depending upon the level of frequency that you carry, that's the version of New Earth that you live in. That's the version of Earth, and you are the Earth. You are the new Earth. And the deeper you go in connection with it, the deeper it becomes available to everybody. This is why it's so fun to share.
And they have so much, even the plants have so much to share with us, like so much knowledge. So for example, when I was weeding my lawn the other day, and I say weeding, a lot of things are not weeds, but
no,
there's a particular...
a weed is only a plant that's someplace you don't want it to be. That's it.
So there's a plant in there called teasel, which is it's a little bit of a spiky plant. And I took out of the lawn like more than 100 of these. And I was connecting with the teasel on the next occasion when I was going to do it, because there was some that I was going to pull out, and I was connecting with the teasel. So even when I'm weeding, I'm letting the plant know what's going on and kind of asking permission really as well. And I find if I pull in a circle, if I pull clockwise in a circle, it comes out much more easily than if you just pull straight or if you go anti-clockwise. And I was speaking to the teasel, and the teasel shared with me. So my garden used to be a massive pile of rubble. There was 17 tons of rubble, broken glass, and just old building stuff that was just a big pile in the garden for many, 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 many years. So this is the first time the garden's been clear. And the energies needed some work as well. And what the teasel told me was that what it was doing, because it's a spiky plant, it's taking a lot of that spiky energy into itself and taking it out of the land. So I was much more conscious after that. When I'm taking them out, I'm much more, there's much more of a co-creation in it. And when I plant my plants, I stick them there for a while and ask them if it's just such a beautiful conversation. Like, are they happy there? Is there anything else that they want? Which way would they like to face? When I'm just putting them into the ground, like, do you want to be turned? I know when they just want to be turned, can you just anti-clockwise, just slightly. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So it's such a beautiful, and that's just in a small garden. So if we were doing that on a much bigger scale, and it's not that the earth would be anti all the things that we want to do, but it's just...
It's in support.
Yeah.
We're creating this. Everything in our lives, whatever it is, I don't care what it is, everything in our lives is our creation. Mm-hmm. And you could liken it to clothes, that if you don't like your creation, well, then change your clothes. Because whatever it is, it's yours. You want something happier, more joyful, well, then create it.
So before this year, you could see energy if you wanted to.
It's more that I'm more of a kinesthetic, I'm more of a feeler, although I do see. But there's no, and yet there's no difference between the whatever kind of audient you are, whether you're clairaudient or kinesthetic or whatever it might be. It doesn't matter if you hear, see, or feel. It's all, or even smell. It's the same energy stream that you're perceiving. I happen to be mostly a feeler, and sometimes that translates into pictures.
Yes.
Not always, but it doesn't really matter because the feeling is usually the deeper sense.
Yeah, and I find there's less differentiation really between the senses now. It is like you say, often when you feel that can generate an image. And if I'm doing sessions, it's like I'm seeing with my hands. It's like I'm into the body through the sensations that I get in my hands.
That's true.
And go on.
That's true.
And the hum of the earth, let's say, the buzz of the earth seems so much stronger these days.
So isn't it wonderful when you get that when you're experiencing that really intense, high-pitched ringing in the ears that just becomes overwhelming. And at the same time, your body is connected to the earth and you're feeling that deep, that very, very deep frequency that is the earth. And they both get running in the body at the same time. So your head's in stars and your feet are on the ground. Otherwise, you're just a flag without a pole, just flapping in the breeze, going wherever. And sometimes it's nice to be just a leaf that's blown in the breeze.
And are you feeling more connected, not just with the earth, but with all that's out there as well, like with the galaxy? Do you feel that that's changed for you as well?
Changed is not an accurate word. Expanded is more accurate. I've always been able to travel and travel extensively and very deep. When I was in Kenya and I was dying, several people couldn't find me that were attempting to hold on to me so that I wouldn't leave. And that's because of where I went. It was they couldn't find it. And I've experienced that before, that others couldn't find me just because of where I was able to travel. And again, that's not anything special. That just happens to be me. That's the way that I'm wired. There's lots of people that I know that do it to a much greater degree than I do. At one level, I still think of myself as kind of a beginner at some of this. When I look at myself alongside some of the people that I know and consider to be friends, but it is very expansive level of sensitivity, the refinement in feeling very subtle energies, and at the same time being completely clueless all at the same time. Much like Einstein's wife used to made a statement one time. She talked about her husband and went, yeah, he'll be sitting at the kitchen table, it's just, and experiencing all of the galaxies in the universe and looking at the gravitational forces and figuring out this. And oh, by the way, his socks are different colors. So some ways I'm completely clueless and oblivious. So I'm like everybody else. I'm still learning how to be able to balance and be present, and what it means to be balanced and present, and especially what it means to connect with other human beings. So I've had a lot of lessons about that recently. I'm a very quiet person. I really am. I spend most of my time alone. I don't, if there's nobody here, if I'm not working with somebody, I don't talk. I'm quiet. I'm still. And so let's just say that I'm still learning social skills of what it's like to actually interact with another human being besides myself. I interact with myself okay.
What else would you like to share while we have this space, either about your experience or about the courses that you're putting on? What the spaces?
I'm always offering classes, and it's such a delight to be able to have the strength and the energy and the voice to be able to do that, because that's one of the things that disappeared with long COVID, is that I would be talking and then my voice would just disappear to a whisper and be completely inaudible. So I couldn't share. But that's all been corrected now and realigned. So beginning the end of June, on the 25th, I'm again offering the 11-week course that I do, which is Freedom from the Known. I love to share this course. It's an incredibly deep dive into consciousness. It's a deep dive into rewiring your neural net, freeing it from your conditioning, and allowing your own natural space to organically be open up to experience the broader universe and multiverse that's out there. It's utterly fabulous. So when we die and we leave, the first thing that happens is all your conditioning falls away and you're just who you are. When you have a near-death experience and you come back, depending upon who you are and what your belief systems are, in other words, if you're a part of a religion, you experience when you're out of the body according to what the belief system that you're in. So if you're a member of a religion, you'll see things in that context. And so when you come back, depending upon how much you've let go, how much you were able to release, some level of your conditioning, to whatever degree it is, small or large, that conditioning will fall away, and that leaves space. There's neural patterning going on that you've devoted all of your life, these neural electrical signals to whatever it is that just fell away, and now it's no longer there. And spirit can come in, your soul can come in, source can come in and fill that space. And now you have a greater awareness of what all of creation is in relation to what you knew before. And that's a very similar description to what happens in the Freedom from the Known course. It's gradually just taking layers of our conditioning off and dropping them and going deeper and deeper and deeper. And now there will be new layers of grounding into the body, because it's not enough just to be able to travel galactically and dimensionally and everything else. It's grounding it in the body so that you're actually here rather than floating around someplace in the ethers, that you're really and truly here in the body, on the earth, in addition to feeling everything cosmically. So that's a lot of what that course is. It's really, really deep dive. I love to offer this. I love to share it. You've experienced it on multiple occasions, and at the same time, you haven't experienced it because it's going to be new. It'll be similar, but it will definitely be new. And that starts at the end of June. June 25th. The early bird registration ends on the 18th. So,
thank you. And it's interesting you mention your voice, because before I asked that question, I was going to comment on your voice and say, not only is your voice back, but there's a whole different breadth of resonance in there as well.
There is part of the reason that it disappeared, that I could not talk, is because this entire area, not just the throat, but the entire area was being realigned, reintegrated to be able to handle the new level of frequency that will come through the voice. I know what my voice is, and universally, almost everybody that hears me talk has some kind of comment about it, because it does carry a transmission, even if it's just semi-casual conversation. There's always a frequency that is coming through it. And the voice disappeared because it had to be completely reintegrated. That work is not totally done yet. You know, there's a lot of times that trauma was experienced in the throat that is still in the process of energetically clearing itself, but it's coming. It's coming. So it's always a process. It's always one level or another of growing in some way or another, whatever it is. So before that, the dream that I shared where people were just poofing, I went through a really self-doubt, dark phase that I was just flattened and didn't get out of my bathrobe for a couple of days. That's the only piece of clothing that I wore, and kind of ignored taking care of my house and cleaning and things on that order. I did brush my teeth, that I did, and brush my hair. What little I have left, COVID took most of it. COVID does that. So, but it's always fascinating. And if you have any resonance with that course, you can visit my website. You can visit my Facebook page. There's information on the course there. It would be lovely to share with all of you. It is a commitment though, because it's 11 weeks every Saturday for 11 weeks. And it would be lovely to have more than 50 people. It would be lovely to have more than 75 people.
And
the more people, the bigger the energy.
Yeah. And, you know, there's been a lot of integration time for the people who've been on the course as well. Like everyone's going to be different coming to it too. So
it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I really do. I do really recommend it to anyone. It was an amazing experience. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to sharing it again. It's an amazing experience for me too, because I'm at one level, I'm a student at the same time. So as the energy comes through, if there's any hook into me that I didn't clear this, then I get to clear that too as part of my work during the week. So it's always fascinating to watch it.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, David. It's good to have you back. It's good to see you looking so well.
It's really delightful to be well. I spent 3 months mostly in bed. The first time I was seeing a naturopath up in Ashland, and I wasn't sure if I could drive. And the person that watched my house, stayed in my house and watched my cat while I was in Africa, continued to stay here for a little while just to help. I thought I wanted to be alone, and it took no time at all to discover that, well, yeah, I could take care of myself, but if I, in my current state, my house would be a pigsty because I wouldn't have the energy to clean it and I wouldn't care. So the first time that I drove to Ashland, which is about an hour and 15 minutes from here, they went with me just in case, and didn't have the energy or the ability to drive back. So for the first couple of times, I drove part way because I was always pushing the envelope to see how much can I do. And that's all changed now. I can do whatever it is that I want to do outside of going for 5-10 mile walks in the woods. I can't do that yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but I will soon.
Mm.
I will soon.
So thank you very much, David. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you back. And thank you to everybody who's been with us as well. Thank you to everyone who's been here on the live and also on the replay and on YouTube as well. So thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. I can't see the screen like Denise can to see who's present live, but thank you for being here. I feel your presence, and I look forward to being with you and seeing you again sometime soon. Blessings, many, 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 many blessings.
Love, love, love. See you soon.